Welcome to the podcast, A Drink with Derek. Follow comedian Derek Richards on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to his YouTube channel and watch all episodes of the podcast. Now grab a drink and join your host, Derek Richards.
Glad to have you here. Derek Richards here in Las Vegas. Sunny, beautiful Las Vegas. Getting a chance to come off and enjoy the Eagles in concert. Just saw them over at the MGM Grand Arena. Phenomenal show. The Hotel California tour. Just amazing performance with those guys. And Vince Gill singing with the band now and instead of, in place of Glenn Frey, which is a bummer that he wasn't there. But Vince did a fantastic job. So if you get a chance to see him, highly recommended. And I'm going to be out on the road, heading to the Midwest here pretty soon. Going to be doing some runs in Ohio, Iowa, and then actually coming back to Las Vegas. I'm going to be in Westchester, Ohio at Laurie's Roadhouse Live on June 8th. And then Des Moines, Iowa at the Funny Bone Comedy Club with my good friend Dave Landau, June 10th and 11th. And then at the Comedy Cellar at the Rio here in Las Vegas, June 27th to July 3rd. And also, while you're playing around on the internet, DerekRichards.com is my website. You can also snag a copy of my album, Double Down, which was recorded at Laughing Comedy Cafe in Fort Myers, Florida. Available on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon. You can also go on Apple Music and pull it up. You can pull it up on Pandora. Just pull it up. Just play it, and then just, play it and just walk away. I don't care. Make it background noise. Let me be the Frank Sinatra music at your next Italian dinner. That would be a horrible idea. Anyhow, my album, Double Down, available iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon. Excited for my guest here today. My guest, Jonna Spilbor. She is an unstuffy lawyer, columnist, and frequent commentator on Fox News Channel, also Court TV, the Law and Crime Network, as well as Oxygen. She's handled hundreds of criminal defense cases, personal injury, and divorce, and she also offers divorce coaching. She's a radio host as well, currently residing in New York, one of the busiest people that I know. Jonna Spilbor is here on A Drink with Derek.
Amber Heard finishing her testimony in the defamation suit brought by Johnny Depp. His attorneys playing this dramatic recording, making the case that she heard was jealous of his success.
No one does 21 drugs straight when they're in their 20s. No, you're right. That's not selling out.
Yeah, I'm the joke in the industry, Amber. I'm the joke. I'm the joke in the industry.
I'm sorry, I can't really hear you. I'm sorry.
Aquaman.
Oh.
Criminal defense attorney Jonna Spilbor joins us now. Good morning to you, Jonna.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we've all been fascinated with this case. What's your reaction when Johnny Depp's attorney cross-examines her?
This was really something else yesterday. I think if Amber Heard had any hope of prevailing in this trial, it went out the window following what was a grueling cross-examination by Team Depp. I'm calling it a marathon of impeachment because it was really masterful. And Ms. Vasquez, Johnny Depp's attorney, really was able to illustrate for the jury example after example after example where Amber Heard was most likely lying. And not only was she able to demonstrate that, she actually was able to show it in pictures, making the jury its own eyewitness. Like, for example, Amber Heard was claiming, at one point Johnny Depp broke her nose. Well, 24 hours later, there's a picture of her looking, having a perfect face on the red carpet, for example. And that picture was shown to the jury. They now have the timeline. They could see it for themselves. And this was just the first of many examples where Team Depp was able to show that Amber Heard is not being truthful.
Well, the two of them had this love journal, a diary that they both wrote in. And at one point she wrote, "I have seen you in the true bones of friendship and respect, but I still more than ever want to rip you apart, devour you, and savor the taste." What's your reaction to that?
You know, this was also something I found it almost humorous that they called this a love journal when all we've heard over the last 6 weeks are examples of just how toxic this relationship was. And, you know, you got to remember, this was a very short marriage. And if you listen to Amber Heard, it was one example after another where Johnny Depp was this aggressor and this horrible abuser. Yet here we are looking at her own words again for the jury to see, where she's basically telling him how much she loves him. She's constantly apologizing, and it really counters what she wants to portray on this stand. I really think it hurt her. And one other way we know this, Ainsley, the jury has stopped looking at her, according to reporters in the room. Once a jury stops looking at you, it's pretty much game over. That's a telltale sign that they no longer believe your side of the story.
That's interesting. She said that he brutally assaulted her on their honeymoon on the Orient Express. But then she wrote in her diary, "My husband, happy honeymoon." We'll see. When will we know?
Oh, well, I think it's game over now, but we only have a few, I want to say about 15 or so more hours left because the judge has put this trial on a time clock, which is also strange. So maybe by the end of this week, early next week, the jury should have this case, I think.
Okay. Jonna, thank you so much. Great to see you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley.
What an absolute nightmare. That trial. Unbelievable. We'll talk about that here in a second, but my guest, Jonna Spilbor, good to see you again. How are you?
Derek, it is great to see you. I do have one quick confession before we get started because I am a lawyer and we are notorious for issuing warnings like don't use your toaster while sleeping. My warning for today is I woke up feeling like crap. So if I sneeze or cough in your face over the next hour, it's nothing personal. It's just me, which is so, I never get sick. I'm going to say this. I never get sick. And the reason I never get sick is because, and my staff will attest to this, germs are afraid of me. And I like it that way. But for some reason in the last 24 hours, I came down with some sort of crud. As long as it's not monkeypox, I'm good.
I think you're fine. Superman had kryptonite. Every once in a while, a superhero can get a cough or a sneeze once in a while. So I think you're probably good on the monkeypox front. Good to see you again. It's been several years. Well, it's been probably I think 4 years since we had done the Tom Shalhoub show together in New York.
That's right. Yes, we did the Tom Shalhoub, and we had fun. We had a drink after that in New York City. This is pre-COVID. And you were also a guest on my radio show talking about your book. So it's good to reconnect with you.
No, great to reconnect with you here as well. A couple of random questions I like throwing out there to a guest just to kind of break the ice. Random questions. They make absolutely no sense with anything that we're talking about here today, but just stuff that I pull out. Here we go. This topping should never be found on pizza.
Oh, that's easy. Anchovies.
Okay.
Yeah,
High-profile criminal that you would have a drink with.
Oh, high-profile criminal that I would have had a drink with. Can the criminal be dead?
Sure.
No. All right, let me change that. High-profile criminal I would have a drink with, believe it or not, is OJ.
That's mine.
That's yours?
And I say that, yes, because I met him at an airport in Miami probably about a few months ago. He was flying down there. He was on the same flight as me from Las Vegas because he's got a house out here. And he was super nice. Now, I got a picture with him. People were taking photos, and it's one of those things where you realize how quickly people forget about what happened, where there were just tons of people getting pictures, and he was signing autographs, and they could have cared less.
Wow. See, now that surprises me because that's not why I would want to have a drink with him. I would want to have a drink with him because I bet you I could get a confession out of him in 15 minutes or less. That's why I want to have a drink with him. I don't know if I would want his autograph. I guess I can understand that people have forgotten the heinous crimes, but I would drink with him for that other reason.
Just to get the confession. You're such an attorney. All right, best lawyer show on television, past or present?
Oh gosh, I would have to say Better Call Saul. I love that.
That's a great show. That's a great show.
So well done, so well written, so well acted, and you just gotta love Saul or Slippin' Jimmy, however you want to refer to him, because he embodies what probably every criminal defense attorney fantasizes about being able to do every once in a while, and he just does it. I love it. Yeah, that's a good show.
Now I got to ask you this: why do women love crime shows? Because my girlfriend, and I know, and a bunch of other women that love these too. My girlfriend goes to sleep with the ID channel on, and it cracks me up. She's like, every time I call her if I'm on the road, I'm like, what are you doing? She goes, I'm just hanging out watching these killer shows. I'm like, I only know women that are into these. I mean, I watch them occasionally, but I am not that locked in as women are. What is the fascination?
They rate so well, number one. And I think it's because it's our guilty pleasure as women, because we get to see kind of like the worst of the worst, but we don't have to live it, and it's not like happening to our BFF, so we don't have to give advice. And you should see, like, I do a lot of those true crime shows on Oxygen, so I get the scripts, and I get to read the entire scripts, and I'll read them and go, oh my God, this is like heinous what people do to each other. And it's just juicy, but it's once removed, so we can kind of get into it without feeling like we're in any sort of danger ourselves. It's sort of like for me, since I work them, I think my similar guilty pleasure are all the Housewife franchises. Like, it's that train wrecky, better happen to you and not me kind of mentality that I think attracts us to the true crime and that kind of stuff.
Which is almost happening with this Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. But you bill yourself as the unstuffy lawyer, which you are. Like I said, we had a great time doing the Tom Shalhoub show, and Tom's hilarious. He just does a brilliant job with his show and with his guests. What your favorite shows to drink with Derek? What is your favorite cocktail? Your favorite beverage to unwind with?
That is so easy. So I love a skinny margarita on the rocks with salt. I have my own particular brand of tequila that I enjoy, Herradura. You may have heard of it. And I'll even take it a step further. My favorite place to get that cocktail is at a restaurant called Catch in New York City. They make them better than any other. And that's I could do that all day long.
And you know what? If you're going to go ahead and watch this Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, I mean, if that doesn't make you want to have a cocktail, if it makes you want to have a cocktail and it makes you appreciate whatever relationship that you are in, this has been just an absolute nightmare unfolding. What is your? I mean, you also got your take on what's been happening up until this point. So, what is your take on it beyond what you had mentioned on the when you were on Fox?
Okay, so believe it or not, I think this trial, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, is actually going to change history a little bit. And I mean that sincerely, and I also mean it in a good way. Like, okay, look, we all know, if you've tuned in for 5 minutes, you know that Johnny Depp and Amber Heard had a completely toxic relationship. Nothing to be proud of. They were married for about a minute and a half. They got married knowing that they had a toxic relationship, which just boggles the mind, because Johnny Depp is a world famous actor. Amber Heard, not so much. I mean, a lot of people, myself included, Derek, I had never heard of Amber Heard before this trial. I didn't know that he was married to, I really wasn't paying attention to their relationship until their relationship came to light. But here's why. Here's why this case is going to change history. Johnny Depp will go down in history single-handedly as the person who put a wrench in the Me Too movement, and not in a bad way. Actually, quite the opposite. Johnny Depp has taken, whenever we have a movement, Me Too, for example, right? What ends up happening is it gets all this momentum behind it. And sometimes that momentum is for all the right reasons, but perhaps it's too much momentum. So the pendulum swings all the way up, right? And you have people marching the street with, pink vagina hats, and everybody's and they're all up and they all behind it, etc. And the pendulum stays there, and then people start losing their jobs. Matt Lauer, Harvey Weinstein, and we get it. But sometimes that can be too much of a good thing. When we believe anybody, man or woman, in any type of situation, any sort of crime, any sort of anything, when we automatically believe somebody without asking questions, without testing their veracity, without testing the reliability of the information that they are putting forth, we do, all of us, a disservice. That's what happened when Me Too came on the scene a few years ago. Johnny Depp, enter Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp says, hang on a second. I am in this ridiculous relationship. Lies were told about me. And I'm here to tell you that you must test the veracity of this information. You must test the source because I'm being lied about. And I'm going to air my dirty laundry. Crap that I wouldn't otherwise have to air in order to right this wrong. And damn it, Derek, he did it. He did it. And it was something to behold. I looked at it through that lens more than I looked at it through, wow, this is just a horrible relationship and this is kind of entertaining right now.
Right. What is now, if you're Amber Heard's attorney and you're hearing all this stuff come out, how do you posture yourself to deal with that? Because they are just getting beaten up huge. And I mean, I have friends of mine, male, female, that are they're like, she is going to get destroyed. And I mean, so what do you do as an attorney? I mean, obviously you're going to take the case, you're going to make your money. I get it. I mean, how do you approach it? How do you handle this? How do you play defense?
So it's interesting because she didn't just play defense, right? She countersued. Her defense was going on the offense. So, enter Johnny Depp, who claims, okay, you owe me $50 million because you defamed me. And by defaming my character and my reputation, you cost me money. I get it. He's got a legit cause of action. She doubles down. She doubled down and said, whoa. I'm not going to settle with you. I'm not going to talk settlement. I'm going to countersue you for twice as much as you're suing me. Because you know what? And we know why she did that. We know why she did that because we heard in evidence in this trial, that recording of her saying almost verbatim, Johnny, who's gonna believe you? Who is gonna believe you, Johnny Depp, a man, that you are a victim of domestic violence? Like, she knew. And so she took that and went to her attorneys, and her attorneys decided which story she was going to tell and how she was going to tell it. And that's what an attorney does. What we cannot do, and what I hope her attorneys did not do, was foster any sort of blatant lie. Like, if you come into information when you're representing somebody that your client has flat out not been truthful or is trying to perjure themselves or what have you, we have an ethical duty. And even if we didn't have an ethical duty, you're not a good lawyer if you allow your client to do that. But they crafted a story, they had a theme, and they went with it. And hey, it's not their job to decide whether she's telling the truth or not. It's the jury's job to decide. And that's how you handle that when you're representing a client who may or may not be believable. I'm not the jury, I'm the lawyer. And that was their position for sure. What is this
going to cost? This thing has been going on for seemingly forever. And I've dealt with attorneys before. I know billable hours, and I'm sure that my attorney was not nearly as high priced as Amber or Johnny's. I can't even imagine what that legal bill is going to look like.
Well, that's interesting because we actually talked about this on Fox Nation just the other day, because in this type of case where there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right? If Johnny Depp wins, for example, in theory, he's going to get some sort of big paycheck. Not that Amber Heard can pay it, but let's set that part aside for a moment. So typically in these types of cases, an attorney would take it on what we call a contingency. Just like if you have a car accident, you break a leg, you break a bone, they take it on contingency, and you don't pay anything. You don't pay unless we win. You've heard those you're loaded with them in Vegas, those late night lawyer commercials.
Oh yeah.
So maybe they do have a contingency agreement. Maybe the attorneys are taking it at a lower rate because look, we didn't know those attorneys either, right? They got their 15 minutes of fame. Camille Vasquez probably going to have no shortage of clients after this trial. She did a dang good job on her cross-examination of Amber Heard. So, I mean, but the cost, like these experts who took the stand, there were a ton of experts in this case. They don't come cheap and they don't wait to get paid. You pay them up front, they're getting $500 an hour, $1,000 an hour. So yes, that is costly. But keep in mind, Amber, who didn't pay her $7 million to the two charities that she said she was going to, kept that money, and that's what she's using to pay, that's just deplorable as far as I'm concerned. That's so reprehensible. Disgusting.
How long do you think she gets a date after this?
Well, she may get a date before she gets work, because I think this really killed her career. It's going to be a long time before anybody hires her. Johnny Depp, on the other hand, I think he's going to get a job tomorrow. Honestly, like, he redeemed himself just by virtue of being Johnny Depp in this public forum. It's crazy, but she's in a hole. I don't think there's a PR agency bright enough or good enough to dig her out anytime soon. That's it.
No, I can't.
But she did it to herself, right? If you don't believe her story, like many of us don't, she's got only herself to blame.
Right. How do you feel about these trials playing out on TVs across the world? Because I go back to the first one that I saw, and like I said, I was kind of casually talking about the Johnny Depp. Sorry?
What was the first trial that you saw televised?
OJ. OJ, yeah. back in 95 when I saw the whole thing front to back. And I remember that, and we got these images, these pictures. It's so funny. Sean, pull this up. Look at this courtroom from, and it seems like it was yesterday, but this is literally 1995. Look at how big these computers are. These monitors. Isn't that hilarious? I just feel like we're watching something on a Turner Classic Movies. But you look at this. This is the first time I remember seeing a court case play out on TV, and then of course we all saw the O.J. Simpson verdict, which was this picture coming up here when he won. That was. How do you feel about these playing out on TV?
Well, I have a love-hate relationship with the way we handle public trials these days, because I love them because it gives us an opportunity to see for ourselves justice being played out or not, right? Depending on what side you want to come down on. And I applaud that. And I work part-time because of that. And that part I completely get and understand and appreciate. We've come a long way. What I don't like is that because of social media, because of how we can have our electronics and how easy it is now to get those things inside a courtroom, and how it has created an opportunity that I don't know is very that sometimes can be untoward, an opportunity to benefit financially from being on a jury that really chaps my behind, because now the whole jury system is what our system of justice was based on. And now I feel like we have evolved to the point where most juries are tainted. You can't ignore, unless you live under a rock. And sidebar, if you live under a rock, I don't want you on my jury because you're not in touch. But at the same time, unless you live under a rock, you're getting the information that is not coming out in trial. And of course you are processing that through your own filter, and as jurors do. And you can't almost ignore. You're going to get smacked in the face with superfluous information that you're not supposed to consider in that court of law, because this is the world in which we live. We've evolved that much. So it pains me. Sometimes it makes me wish for, and perhaps there will be a day I advocate for, professional juries. Now that would be difficult too, but should we go there? I would prefer to have a few lawyers deciding my fate, I think, than any Tom, Dick, and Harry, with an iPhone who wants to get on my jury because they think they're going to write the book about how much cosmetic surgery defendant Jonna Spilbor had, or whatever, the cause du jour is. And that's where we are. That is where we are.
No, I agree with you as far as a professional jury is concerned, because I know they always end up asking people, do you have any knowledge of this case? And I mean, how do you get a jury for OJ to say, no, I have no idea what's going on? I mean, that, like I said, that is the most uninformed segment of society, if they're telling the truth to whatever degree, to go ahead and sit on this trial. And so, yeah, I agree with you completely about finding a professional jury. I don't want a jury of my peers. I know my peers. I go to the bar. I know who's down there drinking. I don't want him deciding or her deciding my fate.
No, absolutely not. I hear you. And, since we're talking about this, think about this, if you might recall. And I wrote about this case too. And I really think she got a raw deal. Ghislaine Maxwell, whether you love her, hate her, think she was, an arm of Jeffrey Epstein, forget that for the moment. She had a juror that snuck his way onto the jury. And then he snuck his way onto the jury by lying. And then he came out and said, aha, I'm going to influence all you other jurors because I too was abused. Totally not supposed to do that. Then when her team fought that fight by filing a motion, which she 100% should have won, the judge in that case, who has been biased since day one, Ghislaine Maxwell has not seen the light of day since she was arrested, but you can go rob a bank, kill somebody, run over a pack of puppies and some nuns, and you're getting out of jail in New York now, thanks to bail reform, but not Ghislaine Maxwell. No. That judge denied the motion. Denied that motion. That is, she's going to win that on appeal. And again, I don't care what you think about Ghislaine Maxwell. Procedurally, she got done dirty by this judge in that court, and I stand behind that 1,000%.
Yeah, whenever I end up hearing these random things that judges throw out and then seeing you guys on the panels talk about it afterwards just blows me away. To think that some of these things can just be said. I'm like, wait, what? I know nothing about law other than watching Law and Order SVU, and then hearing commentary from you and your panel on on Fox and other TV shows. So yeah, and for an idiot like me to be able to see this and go, hang on, this is pretty jacked up. This I don't get it.
Not right. I mean, but imagine, so let's take it down a notch, just since we're talking. Imagine if you have somebody who's on trial for driving while intoxicated. It happens all the time. 68,000 people in the state of New York every year get arrested for driving while intoxicated. Now imagine, if you will, that you have a Mothers Against Drunk Driving on your jury, but not because she came out and said, I'm a mother against drunk driving. She lied and said that she wasn't a mother against drunk driving. You find that out later and you get convicted. It's the same thing. It's just taken down a notch. We cannot have that kind of deception in our jury system, or we might as well just throw our system of justice right out the window.
Well, you talk about DUI. You're actually a member of the National College for Dui Defense. So what is the best advice you give a client pulled over for DUI?
Okay. So this is interesting because I used to get accused all the time. The public has come around a little bit. I have a lot of advice for people to prevent getting arrested and or convicted of DWI. I do not condone drunk driving. I do not have any sort of secrets to promote it and can tell you how you can get away with it. But I will say that there are things you can do whenever you are about to get arrested that can put you in a better position to defend yourself. And as a criminal defense attorney, that is my job, like it or not. So the first thing I would say, first and foremost, just make life easy. If you're going to drink, do not get behind the wheel of anything with a motor. You can get on a bike, you can get on a skateboard, get on a horse, but do not get behind the wheel of a motorized vehicle, then you're safe. Okay, but barring that, when you get pulled over, here's what people do. And again, we'll use DWI as an example, but it happens no matter what you're getting arrested for.
Sure.
People get diarrhea of the mouth. And they think that they can talk themselves out of getting arrested. I am here to tell you in no uncertain terms, you cannot talk yourself out of getting arrested. You can only talk yourself into getting arrested. So you're first and foremost, don't apologize. Don't say you had an emergency. Don't say you're on the way to the hot. Just shut up. Number one. Number two, when the nice police officer wants to get you out of the car to do the physical test or the standardized field sobriety test, here in New York, anyway, I would advise you not to do them. You can't get in trouble for not doing them, and it only provides more evidence for the police officer to say he or she had probable cause to arrest you. What you should do, you should, in most instances, not 100% of the time, take the breathalyzer. Why? Because if you don't do that, the DMV will make your life a living hell. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're a serial drunk driver and you've got a lot of priors, if there's been an accident, if this is not your first rodeo,
Sure.
then maybe you shouldn't take the breathalyzer. Here's the fun part. I'll just give you a little fun inside baseball. I don't do it anymore because the older I get, the more beauty sleep I need. But I used to pick up the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning when people would call me, right? They'd be like, I'm at the police station. Now, I can kind of tell by the sound of your voice that if you probably belong in the police station at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're slurring your words. Well, ask me questions like, I'm here. Should I take the test? And I'll be like, all right, listen, I'll say, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. You only answer with a yes or a no. Don't say a sentence. Don't say words because you're at the police station and they're listening to this conversation. I'm going to ask you a yes or no question. And they'll be like, okay. And then I'll ask the first question. Have you ever been arrested before? And the answer will be, well, back in 1992 when I was in college. And I'm like, what are you telling me? I stopped because it wasn't doing me any good. It wasn't doing them any good. I stopped. Now I don't pick up the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm a happier person for it. It's true.
That is so funny. So if you're in New York and you refuse to get out of the car, what is the next thing a cop's going to say? Is he going to go ahead and hand you the breathalyzer so you're still sitting in your vehicle at that time? How does that unfold?
And you have to do this carefully. You can't be like, yeah, hey, cop, or I hate cop. Like, you just got to be respectful and say, I politely decline to take your field sobriety test. The next thing the officer's going to want to do is he's going to want to give you a portable breath test. Don't take that either. Now, if you don't take the portable breath test in New York, you will get a traffic ticket, but it's only a $250 fine, so don't sweat it. If you refuse all those, he's going to put you in the back of the car. He's going to be probably a little pissed off at you. And he's going to take you to the police station and he's going to read you your breathalyzer warning. Once he does that and you decide to take the breathalyzer, that's all you got to do to make your life a little bit easier. Just take that breathalyzer, not the portable one on the side of the road. Don't stand on one leg. Don't do your 9 steps, walk and turn. A lot of people will say to me, I can't do that sober. And they also say that to the cop. Bad idea. Don't say that. You're not funny. Don't be a comedian. But that's what's going to happen. Like I said, you're going to get arrested. It's just, you don't have to give the officer so much evidence that your conviction is a foregone conclusion if you have the wherewithal to just not do that.
Yeah, good to know. I had a cop tell me one time, he said, keep an orange, ex-cop, he goes, keep an orange in your car. He goes, if you bite into an orange, like through the peel, bite into an orange through the peel, that pungent smell of the orange is so dominating. And for whatever reason, it seems to neutralize. Some people think, they get pulled over, they pop a Tic Tac in their mouth or some kind of breath mint, and then you just smell like like an alcoholic who's got a breath mint in their mouth. But for some odd reason, he said the pungent orange peel and the orange itself seems to permeate the car and seems to neutralize the alcohol in your mouth. I haven't done this. I only heard this. You always end up hearing stupid advice from people. So.
Yeah, I think if I were a cop and I roll up on you and you're behind the wheel eating an orange peel and all, I'm pulling you out of the car. You're under arrest, buddy. Yeah, that's not going to work for me.
That's not how you eat an orange, sir. You gotta step out of the vehicle. That's illegal here in the state of New York. You've been a regular contributor on Fox for a while now. Who is your favorite personality to work with and or spar against?
I got to say, I love them all. I love, and you know Tom Shalhoub. I haven't sparred with him, and he doesn't do the legal stuff, but I do love him. You know who I really admire? A lot of women on that network. Dana Perino, just smart as a whip. Julie Banderas, fun as all get out. Even Janice Dean, the weather person, so compassionate and passionate. Like, they really are. And I know people don't, if you don't know them personally, you don't get it. You only see what you see on TV, and people have their opinions of Fox. I get it. But they pick very well. They hire very well. And they should be proud of themselves for that. Everybody there, they got a really good team. They really do.
No, everybody that I met when I was in the studio over there was just fantastic. Tom Shalhoub, Jesse Waters, past Gutfeld in the hallway. I mean, just really, really super cool, genuine, down to earth people, and it's always been a fun experience over there. What? Yeah, I have not met her. She seems like she would be an interesting person to hang out with for sure.
I'll give you a little gossip about Janine. You want a little
Go for it.
So Janine is in phenomenal shape. I'm not even quite sure of her age, but she's in phenomenal shape. She's like this big. Whenever I see her off air, she's constantly eating cakes and cookies. Constantly. But you'd never know it because look at her. She just doesn't. She can eat whatever she wants, doesn't gain an ounce.
She's got the metabolism of a hummingbird. I hate those people.
Me too.
Everything I eat goes right to my backside, Jonna. It's awful. I can't even look at a cheeseburger. I can't even look at a cheeseburger anymore. It's disgusting. What is your? I always like talking to comedians and asking them about like their worst gig. But for someone who has spent so much time on television as you do, what's been your most awkward moment on television that you can even recall?
Okay, so I do have one, and I actually sent you or your producer a picture, and this is why this picture is going to make more sense now. I sent you the picture of a chihuahua with a snot bubble coming out of its nose. Why? Because years ago, I used to do a lot on MSNBC. Before they got political, they used to do a whole lot of criminal stuff all the time, and I was there on weekends a lot, almost every weekend. Anyway, there was an anchor, and he still works for NBC. His name is Peter Alexander. I think Peter is a very handsome guy. He hasn't changed a bit over the last 10 or 15 years. And so back then I thought he was handsome too. That doesn't add anything to the story. But I was on air with Peter Alexander. I was on air with Peter Alexander. We're sitting at the anchor desk, so facing each other and doing the legal story, whatever I had to do. And I wasn't, I was feeling fine, but all of a sudden I'm all animated. And the next thing I know, this is just so gross to even say. I can't believe I'm saying it, but like a snot bubble comes out of my nose and I am immediately mortified, but not mortified that maybe 100,000 people on a Saturday morning saw a snot bubble come out of my nose on live television. I'm mortified because Peter Alexander, who I think is a hunk, is sitting 2 feet away from me, and surely he must have seen that. I was completely bad. So before I left that day, I probably had to do several hits with him. Before I left, I went up to him in a commercial and I said, I got to apologize about the whole snot bubble incident. I'm really embarrassed. And he was such a gentleman. And he grabs my hand and he goes, "What snot bubble?" Like, all right. You're okay, Peter. You are A-okay with me. So yeah, I'll never forget it. But now my friends and I joke, and I have a picture of this chihuahua with a snot bubble, and that epitomizes who I am.
Well, that makes a lot more sense now that I got the email from you. So this will make a whole lot more sense after the interview. Yeah. And I'm like, there's snot coming out of this dog's nose. Okay, I wasn't sure exactly what that was all about. Let me ask you this here. People talk about the Hillary Clinton and the Durham trial. And does anything ever happen to these people, to these high-profile politicians? Because she's never going to see jail time. I always end up, I laugh when I hear people, they're like, "Oh, she's going to jail." I'm like, she's not going to jail. These people never see. No politician does, at least that I've seen. Certainly no politician in her position. Your thoughts?
It's so frustrating because I think as a country, we have woken up in the last 4, 5, 6 years to stuff that I don't either. We didn't pay attention. When you're rolling along and look, you're making money, you're doing a great podcast, you're doing your gigs, right? And life is good or better than good, and we don't pay attention to what's behind the curtain. And in the last 4, 5, 6 years, we really got to see what was behind the curtain. And it's oftentimes ugly and shameful. And in my personal opinion, Hillary Clinton and a lot of the Democratic Party was behind that. And the reason why we noticed it is, frankly, because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump marched in, he went, whoop, and now we get to see this. Like, if you want to talk about people going to jail, how is it that the son of the president of this country, who is a drug-addicted, porn-addicted pawn, not going to, like, he should already be in jail. But he's not going to go. Hillary's not going to go. The only thing that we can hope, I would rather have us in a position where gas isn't $6 a gallon, where there aren't these viruses, we don't get attacked from other countries with viruses that could potentially kill us, that we don't have to fund other countries' wars, that everybody can just sort of get along, that kids in grade school don't get shot up. Like, I want to live in that world. And if nobody goes to jail and we get there, then I will ignore that. But if those things still happen and nobody goes to jail, I'm a pissed off citizen of this country. And I think we all are a little.
I agree. No, I agree. I was trying to find some Hillary Clinton trial footage. And Sean, we pulled up this one picture that was that's brutal. That just looks, that is so, that's not a happy Hillary right there.
No, but she should be happy because, she's made a lot of money off her, quote, foundation. And, despite the fact that they really tried to rig a presidential election one time, it didn't work. The second time it did. But she's okay. She's not going to be hurting for anything.
No, exactly. Now, Sean, actually, you found a much more realistic picture of Hillary. Pull that one up. Where's that one at there, bud? You had that. There we go. That is so juvenile.
Yeah,
it's so stupid.
And funny. Yeah.
All right, let's get rid of that. That'll haunt your dreams. You have a thing called divorce coaching. And I wanted to ask you about this. First off, for you personally, obviously this Johnny and Amber Heard case is a monster divorce train wreck. What is the one that you can think of off the top of your head that you dealt with personally?
Oh, a personal divorce train wreck?
Ones that you have dealt with as far as your clients are concerned.
Yeah. So I'm going to say this. Most of my clients have their own train wrecks, and because divorce is not fun. I don't represent what's her name, Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin, right? I didn't represent them. My clients don't consciously uncouple, right? My clients, and it's hard, I suppose when you're Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, when you're Gwyneth Paltrow and her husband, when you have enough money in the bank, and maybe your kids are a little bit older so they can kind of decide what they want to be, who they want to be with, etc. It takes a lot of the divorce pressure off. But when you are middle America, and let's say you get blindsided with, one of the spouses decides that they want to get divorced and the children are younger and they're not going to understand. When you split up your entire marital pie, you don't get twice the marital pie, you get half the marital pie when you divorce. And that can be very unnerving and scary for people, especially people who maybe haven't worked for a long time because you're raising the kids, or haven't worked for a long time because they have a disability. This is middle America. This is what people are contending with. And when your security is threatened vis-a-vis divorce, it can be threatened in a number of ways. It scares the hell out of people, and it can change personalities, and it can change the trajectory of your life. Enter the divorce attorney who is not really there to hold your hand, who's there to make sure that you get everything you got coming to you, or you don't lose anything that you shouldn't lose. Like, we're there to manage the legal process of having your marriage go out of business. That's what divorce is. It's putting your marriage out of business. And things need to get split up, and decisions need to be made, and orders need to be had. And you're going to like some of them, and you ain't going to like some of them. And that's just the way it is. And we're not magicians. We're there to navigate. So what I found was, because it's so emotionally tumultuous, my job shouldn't just be getting you from point A to point B. I mean, I'm good at that. We know how to do that. I want to make you better emotionally, happier emotionally when you come out the other side. And sometimes being a lawyer isn't the way to do that. Being a coach is the way to do that. And to help people figure out how to make the process less difficult, and more importantly, how to have a better life after divorce. I mean, isn't that what you want? Like, people break up all the time. Forget about break up. People die. Like, stuff happens that is going to change what you thought your life was going to look like. You can be miserable. You can take all that and let it affect you and be miserable, or you can take all that, learn from it, take a breath, and figure out how to make it work for you. And that's where the coaching comes in, because we don't get to do that as lawyers. Look, whatever you charge an hour as a lawyer, sometimes your clients will be like, if you can send me an email that's going to cost me a half an hour of your time, or send me an email that's going to cost me 6 minutes of your time, give me the 6-minute email, would you? So that's not going to help you work things out. So I came to a place in my career, I've been doing this so long, Derek, that I want to really help people be better people, not just help them have a better divorce.
Well, it's a great plan. How can they just reach out to you on your website, jonnaspilborlaw.com, to connect with you about the coaching aspect, or is that a different thing altogether?
Yeah, so they can reach out to jonnaspilborlaw.com. I have another website that's continually in the works called divorceboss.tv, where I'm populating with free videos. I have a book in the works called Divorce Bites, which is a double entendre, where I give you small snippets of divorce advice. Divorce Bites, get it? Sure. That's going to be hopefully coming out. I don't know if it's going to be before the end of the year. Don't quote me on that. But that's a place where I'm trying to get like-minded people together, men and women. It's not just women who suffer through divorce. Men do too. So you can visit that. But either website or on Facebook, Instagram, just message me. I'm very gettable, except at 3:00 in the morning when you're drunk. Like I said, I don't do that anymore. And I'm easy to get a hold of.
Do you go off and do speaking engagements with this? Because that seems like it would be huge.
And I was doing speaking engagements, and then I stopped those only because of work. Because lawyering can keep me very, very busy. Will I do more? And I have a team of people. I've got financial advisors. I have credit coaches. I have happiness experts. Could we resurrect that at any time? Yeah, and we probably will. But I got to tell you, like, the pandemic, coming out of this pandemic, is very, very busy just doing the lawyer stuff. So sometimes I have to prioritize. But like I said.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I can't imagine people coming out of pandemic. How many divorce cases did you end up taking on, you and your team? I mean, because lockdown was tough, especially in New York, where it was really locked down. I mean, other areas of the country, they were a little more lax, but I mean, where you're at, I mean, all of a sudden it's, listen, it's one thing, you go to work, your spouse goes to work, or one spouse stays home, the other one goes to work, whatever. Now, all of a sudden, everyone's home. No one's going anywhere. So how much did your business go to the moon?
It really did, because there's nothing like a 24/7 lockdown when you could figure out, like you said, some people get to a point in their marriage where they're sort of on autopilot, but they get 8 hours, 10 hours a day where they're not around each other, so they can continue to make it work. But you lock somebody in a house, and you're, in the beginning when people were washing their cardboard because they were afraid to touch anything and steaming open their mail, you realize that if you're no longer in love, and you got to look at that 24/7, it's a problem. Plus, you know what else was a problem? Homeschooling the kids. because now, you're not even getting a break from, and it's okay to need a break from your own children, but the 24/7 of everybody in your face made people realize, maybe I want something else. And yeah, we had divorces did boom. DWIs went down because nobody could go anywhere.
Sure.
And divorces went up. And now we see a little bit of a leveling off. Although now I predict with the economy the way it is that divorces are going to slow again, because who wants to get divorced when you're paying $6 for a gallon of gas?
It's crazy how you see that what happens in society and what goes on around us, how that affects, individual relationships, which I don't like being around myself 24/7. So let alone bring another human into this train wreck of my existence. So you got, let me ask you this here too, because this case is starting to unfold here too. The BLM founder, Patrice Cullors, and her turmoil with skimming donations. That's been on the news. Aside from the obvious moral issue of this, her taking the money and buying houses and paying family members and so forth, are there any legal ramifications that she's facing here?
Oh, God, yeah. I think she could face a slew of fraud charges. For starters, keeping in mind that you have to have prosecutors willing to prosecute. And that's, same reason why Hillary's not doing a perp walk, same reason why Hunter Biden's not yet doing a perp walk. You got to have prosecutors to prosecute. And, when it comes to these darling causes, BLM could do no wrong, right? When that was the cause du jour, not that long ago. So it's going to be tricky. And then the media, right? The media, once they take their eye off the ball, then we all take our eye off the ball, right? When it's not in front and center. So I don't know. I'm not so sure she's going to escape liability unless they've got somebody who really cooked the books and can justify somehow what she did. But, when the feds get involved, you better watch out. So we'll see. I can't say that she will never face prosecution, but, we got to find someone willing to prosecute her.
Now, I saw your clip that you did when you were talking with, you were doing a panel discussing the Alec Baldwin situation. And because he went on and did an interview with George Stephanopoulos. And it was so funny because after what you were just telling me right now, when you're on the phone at the police station, it's like, shut up. Just answer the question, yes or no. And I remember the one thing you said on that interview, on that panel, talking about Alec Baldwin, when he starts chirping, you said, my advice to Alec, stop talking. Stop talking.
That's right. And he didn't, because he's Alec Baldwin and he's famous and he's got hubris and, and he didn't think he did anything wrong. And even if legally it turns out he didn't do anything wrong, and there's a good chance that legally he didn't do anything wrong, you have to keep in mind, especially when you're a celebrity like this, the family of the victim. And you gotta, don't do anything to make it worse. This poor family suffered a tragic loss. This woman goes to work, Helena Hutchins goes to work one day, leaves in a body bag, young kid, husband, everything to look forward to. Terrible. Don't make it worse by trying to help yourself, which you're not doing, and going on an interview just for the salacious factor or what have you. Be respectful of that as a human being. He should have at least done that. But like I said, I don't think he got himself into any deep legal water. But in the beginning, we were less sure of that.
No, definitely. Well, as we wrap things up here, we were talking about Ghislaine Maxwell. Did Jeffrey Epstein kill himself?
No way.
Okay.
No, he did not. He did not kill himself. No, we'll never find out who was behind that, but he did not kill himself.
See, that's all I needed to know. That was my leading question for you. Talking to a high-profile attorney. Hey, did he kill himself? And then that's really the only question I really wanted to ask you the whole interview.
The whole time. This is all just foreplay leading up to that one question.
That was it. Well, I'm so happy that you were able to join me here today, and I can't, thank you enough. I wish you nothing but success. Always love seeing your segments on Fox News when you pop on there. JonnaSpilborLaw.com is your website. Again, follow you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All your social media stuff is out there.
If you do not tell me when you're going to be in my neck of the woods, I'm going to get mad.
I will. We're going to be. Are you going to call me at 3:00 in the morning? I'm going to get that drunk phone call. Well, not drunk phone call, but just a late night phone call. No, we'll be back up in your neck of the woods, up in Poughkeepsie in the first quarter of 2023 with the Irish Comedy Tour at the Paramount Theater, Hudson Valley, which is right down the street from where you are at right now. So we will definitely see you then for sure, hopefully sooner. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're awesome, Jonna. Thank you so much. Jonna Spilbor, my guest here today on A Drink with Derek. A great conversation. I gotta go look for my my pink vagina hat, by the way. She talked about that with the Me Too thing. I should get a few of those. Just wear them with friends at the bar. Get the weird looks from people. See me on the road. Going to be coming up to the Midwest, heading out to the Midwest, Westchester, Ohio, at Lori's Roadhouse live on June 8th, Des Moines, Iowa, The Funny Bone with Dave Landau, June 10th and 11th. Back here in Las Vegas, end of the month, June 27th to July 3rd at the Comedy Cellar at the Rio Hotel and Casino. DerekRichards.com is my website. Also grab a copy of my album, Double Down, available on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon. Can't thank you enough for watching, listening to the podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Share with a friend. Also, we are on Rumble and a number of other platforms as well. You can watch the episodes on Instagram, Facebook, and we also always put them up on Twitter as well, which just links directly to the YouTube for the full episode. My name is Derek Richards. Thank you so much. We will see you next time. Take care. Bye.
You're watching Conservative Television of America, working hard to stick socialism where the sun don't shine.